At yesterday's afternoon's meeting, the board voted to allow trustee Sharma to participate in today's committee and full board meetings by Zoom. Good morning, Dr. Sharma.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Phil.
And it's pretty early where you are right now, isn't it?
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Also yesterday, during the public portion, I appointed trustee Harris to serve as members of the Academic Matters Committee and Audit Committee. And I appointed trustee Ludwood to serve as a member of the Finance Committee and Architectural and Design Committee. The first committee meeting today is the Academic Matters Committee. Dr. Hightower, you may proceed.
Thank you. The meeting of the Academic Matters Committee is now in session. Dr. Gupchuk, comments from you.
Thank you, Chair Hightower. The only announcement I have today is to thank Judge Gilbert for giving me the opportunity to address 94 new immigrants from more than 40 countries at a naturalization ceremony held on May 5th, 2023 at SIUE. It was a true honor, especially because that was the same venue at which I was naturalized by Judge Gilbert himself. So thank you for doing that. And thank you to SIUE for that beautiful ceremony. I would now like to give the floor to Luke Crater, our general counsel, who will speak about the recent Supreme Court ruling on race and admissions, and then ensuing discussion. Luke.
Thank you, Vice President Gupchuk. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the time this morning. Chair Gilbert had indicated that he thought it would be good to have some time at the meeting today to be able to talk about the recent case and discussion the board might want to have. So on June 29th, the Supreme Court of the United States rendered its opinion in the cases Students for Fair Admissions versus the President and Fellows of Harvard College and Students for Fair Admissions versus the University of North Carolina. They're actually two separate cases, of course, but were essentially argued before the court on the same day back in October, and the court rendered a consolidated opinion for both. Technically, the vote was 6-3 in the North Carolina case, but then 6-2 in the Harvard case because Justice Brown recused herself in that case because of prior involvement on the board of overseers at Harvard. The sole question was the university's consideration of race as of that the universities considered race as a factor in undergraduate admissions, among many other factors. While the court did not expressly overrule its prior rulings in similar cases that date back for over 40 years, where it had permitted the limited consideration of race, the court did essentially reverse itself in these decisions, the SFFA decisions. They held that these universities' admissions programs where they consider race as one factor among many for the purposes of admissions did violate federal non-discrimination law. And just to err on a bit of lawyerly nerdism for just a second, they analyzed the programs under the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment. Though the Equal Protection Clause does not apply to Harvard as a private university, it is subject to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which applies to organizations or recipients of federal funds. And so the court basically said that a violation of the Equal Protection Clause is a violation of Title VI, and so they used the same standards as they analyzed the Equal Protection Clause for Harvard as well, even as a private entity. So the majority opinion was delivered by Chief Justice Roberts. He applied what is known as the strict scrutiny standard. This is applied to practices that are race conscious. Under the strict scrutiny standard, a matter will be upheld when it serves a compelling interest and is narrowly tailored in getting at that interest. In these cases, the courts found that the programs, first of all, lacked coherence and lacked sufficiently focused and measurable objectives that would warrant the use of race. They also found that the programs impermissibly employed race as a plus factor for some, which basically means that they were saying that means it's a negative factor for others in the admissions, as they said that it's basically a zero-sum proposition is how they admissions. And then finally, it found that the programs lacked an end date or any meaningful end point. In its very concluding paragraphs, the court said that, quote, nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise, end quote. But then in the very next sentence, they said that, again, quoting, universities may not establish through application, essays, or other means the regime that we hold unlawful today. So again, the decision is solely about admissions. It doesn't address other programs, but I think it certainly invokes questions about things like financial aid and recruitment programs that universities have. So while the SIU system doesn't use race as a factor in its undergraduate admission decisions, in the short term, SIU, like all universities, should be considering the policies and programs as things unfold. And just one final note, the U.S. Department of Education, I think basically the very next day that as the decision came out, said they were going to issue guidance by mid-August for what kind of best practices and policies might be in this area. So we'll be looking forward to seeing what we might be able to glean from what they come out with. So that's a brief summary of the case. I wanted to provide, obviously, a discussion the board wants to have, or I don't know if President Mahoney has any additional comments that he might want to make.
Yeah, I would just say, I think in our office, we've been watching every webinar everything we can find at this point to try to understand it. And I'm sure that's true across the campuses as well. At this point, as we heard, is we're waiting for that guidance. I think any change or major decision before that would be certainly premature, although we certainly have seen universities across the country already announce and make changes. And from our perspective, that would be too early to do. I think once we have that, we can determine if there's anything we need to change and how we might adjust things. Certainly this doesn't affect, as we said a couple of weeks ago, our commitment to anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we don't think it will change much or perhaps anything. We'll have to see again how much it'll change anything we do, but I don't think it'll have a major impact on the things we've been doing that have been working quite well.
Anything else?
Well, I'll just add, I've looked at the opinion, and like a lot of Supreme Court opinions, and I know that Trustee Simmons has read a lot of them. A lot of things that come out of Supreme Court creates more questions than answers. And I think this opinion does create some questions that we don't know the answer to yet. And like Luke said, we're going to wait to see what guidance we get. And there may be other cases that go before the Supreme Court that might provide some more clarification. But as of right now, I think these universities that have already made some decisions on the impact of that are probably premature. But I think, like President Mahoney said, right now, we're not changing anything that we've done in the past, and we're still committed to the anti-racism, equity, and inclusion as a focus of our educational obligations.
Other comments from trustees? Yes.
I would like to say that I am very heartened by the fact that we live in a state like Illinois where we receive support and guidance from our legislators and from people in leadership positions at systems across our state that are working to actually push forward diversity initiatives and to recognize that admissions is not zero sum, as some people on the Supreme Court may say, but that we have nothing but benefit to gain from admitting more diverse and more talented cohorts to our universities. And I hope that there are ways that we can be the people who push the moral arc of our universe towards justice, because it will take effort. And I am sure that this Board of Trustees and the administrators that we have put in charge of our campuses and our system are going to be more than capable of ensuring that our diversity needs are met, that opportunity is maintained. And I'm very glad to be in a system where this is possible.
Moving on, approval of minutes of the April 27th April 27th, 2023 meetings. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
So second,
Second, we have a motion and second. Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call.
Harris. Yes. Hightower,
Yes,
Sauger,
Yes.
Sharma.
yes.
thank you. Motion passes. Dr. Gupchuck, would you continue on with approval of new programs?
Thank you, Chair Hightower. Item H in the board materials, the annual listing of academic program changes is provided herewith for your approval. This includes the submission of two tables to the Illinois Board of Higher Education on behalf of the Southern Illinois University Edwardsville and the Southern Illinois University Carbondale for approval of new programs, reasonable and moderate extensions, approval of off-campus program allocations, and academic program eliminations and suspensions for the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Comments?
No.
Questions? Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 3?
So moved,
Okay, we have a motion and second. Madam Secretary.
Harris. Yes. Hightower,
Yes,
Sauger,
Yes.
Sharma.
yes.
well, this is the shortest.
That is the shortest.
Roger, I hope.
You did good.
Roger, I hope you recognize that. If there's no further business before the Academic Matters Committee, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Dr. Hightower. The next meeting is the Finance Committee meeting. Trustee Tedrick, you may proceed.
The Finance Committee meeting is now in session, and the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, April 27th, 2023. Do I have a motion to accept?
So move.
So second,
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ledwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes.
Hedrick.
Yes. Committee item 2 is an approval of purchase for investment management services through Southern Illinois University. Senior Vice President Stuckey, will you present this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. SIU currently normally holds about $350 to $400 million daily of cash on hand. We endeavor to have all of that in accounts that bear earnings. About 70% of that, of those funds, are held in our short-term and intermediate-term portfolios, which contain investments with maturities up to 10 years. The portfolios are managed by an investment management service, and the current contract for that service expires at the end of this month. An RFP was issued, a selection committee was assembled to provide recommendations on the next professional management service. The selection committee reviewed all the responses and recommended that PFM assessed asset management service be granted a 3-year contract with 3 2-year extensions. PFM is currently our asset manager. The firm was granted an exemption to the state requirement for subcontracted to minority firms. However, PFM voluntarily agreed to subcontract 15% of the contract to LM Capital Group, LLC, a minority-owned firm. We seek your approval for this contract.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve this item?
So moved,
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ledwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes.
Hedrick.
Yes. And the motion carries. Committee item 3 is the dissolution of the Southern Illinois University Medical Facility System. Senior Vice President Stuckey, will you present this item?
Thank you. On April 1, earlier this year, the School of Medicine made a final payment that completely retired all the bonds in the medical facility system, a system that first incurred debt in 1997. This matter will dissolve the former system and allow any remaining funds to be assimilated within the operating and capital funds of the School of Medicine. Should the school desire to issue debt in the future, it is recommended that we begin by defining a new system. We seek your approval for this matter.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ledwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Hedrick.
Yes, and this item is approved by committee. Committee items 4 through 7 are approval of purchase for software maintenance, a software license contract, a lease of copier machines, and additional approval of purchase for a single point web portal. Mr. Clark.
Thank you for the opportunity to present these next four items. Thank you very much. Item 4 is a board matter seeking approval to enter a 5-year agreement with Aleutian Company LP for NeoEd Insight applicant tracking software, maintenance, and licenses to be used throughout the Southern Illinois University system. The total cost for the agreement is $1.3 million over that 5-year period. SIU Carbondale, including the School of Medicine, SIU Edwardsville, jointly propose entering the agreement for NeoEd, which will help streamline employee application and hiring process. Item 5 seeks the approval to enter a 3-year agreement with CDWG Incorporated for the purchase of Adobe Creative Suite, including Adobe Sign. This purchase will be made under the terms negotiated by the IPATH organization for all Illinois public institutions. Through this 3-year agreement, in the amount of $1.5 million, Adobe Incorporated will provide the latest versions of Creative Cloud Suite and Adobe Sign products for use in both academic and administrative interests. Item 6 seeks approval to enter a 5-year lease agreement with 2 1-year renewal options with GFI Digital Incorporated, estimated at $4.2 million over a 7-year period. This proposal is a result of an RFP process consistent with the Illinois Procurement Code and will provide multifunction copiers to the SIU Carbondale campus. Charges for the equipment and related services will be billed to individual departments based on their usage. Item 7 seeks additional purchase authority approval for SharePoint web portal and mobile application development services to support the SIU Carbondale Center for Workforce Development's grant-funded Illinois WorkNet portal system and other projects. The original $5 million 10-year contract with MSF&W Consulting Incorporated, approved by the board in July of 2015, would be extended to complete the existing deliverables and develop solutions for a new grant-funded projects. This would extend the agreement through September 2025 and increase the purchase authority to $14.4 million. I respectfully submit these matters for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve items 4 through 7?
If I could have a question briefly, on item 6 in regards to the lease of multifunction copier machines and services, are we to expect an increase in amounts billed to departments as a result of higher rates or the installation process?
No, this is replacing an existing set of copiers that have been provided through another contract. Yes. So it's about the same cost per click or page printed, but
Thank you.
Any other questions? We have a motion to approve items 4 through 7.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Tedrick.
Yes. And the items are approved by committee. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Committee item 8 proposes approval of an increase for the SIUC Vice Chancellor for Development and Alumni Relations, Chancellor Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The SIU Foundation wishes to provide the additional compensation as listed in the board matter in recognition of the outstanding work and accomplishments of Matt Kupek in his leadership role as Vice Chancellor for Development and Alumni Relations. The supplemental income presented to you today is intended to keep the total compensation package for Mr. Kupek at the level the SIU Foundation was providing prior to him being approved as Vice Chancellor in December of 2022. During his tenure, the Forever SIU campaign has been met with great success, including boosting its goal from a $200 million to $500 million goal. The increase in compensation is being entirely funded by the SIU Foundation. We submit this for your consideration.
Thank you. Any discussion or any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes,
Hedrick.
Yes. Committee items 9 and 10 propose approvals of purchase for targeted recruitment and outreach. Provost Crop.
Good morning. The first matter is an extension of our contract or an addendum to the contract that you approved, this body approved in February of 2021. This is an addendum to the Academic Partnerships LLC contract, which was established to expand our enrollment for 3 online graduate programs in the School of Education, Health and Human Behavior. The original estimated cost for the service contract for those 3 programs was a little over 1.8 million. We are happy to report that due to increased enrollment and demand, a revision to the current contract with Academic Partnerships is needed to reflect the additional costs for the remainder of the contract through April 30th, 2025. The estimated additional cost for the remainder of the service contract is a little over $1 million, and it is funded through 50% of the tuition and fees derived from the enrollment of new students. Since this is a revenue share contract based on new enrollments only, the university would also receive the same percentage of revenue as the new money. So we submit this for your consideration.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve this item?
so moved,
So second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes,
Hedrick.
Yes. And the item is approved. Thank you, Provost.
And one more here. The second matter we seek approval for is a contract with EAB Global Inc. for a 3-year period beginning in July 2023 with an estimated cost of up to $4.2 million. This contract will allow the continuation and expansion of services previously provided by EAB Global Inc., which has helped SIUE reach a record number of applications for fall 22 and fall 23. This contract includes expanding the geographic reach of our recruitment efforts, buying the names of students earlier in the college search process, and increasing the number of names purchased. We seek approval for a contract for targeted recruitment and outreach for first-year students with EAB Global Inc. for a period of 3 years, extending to June 30th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $4,220,000, 469.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes,
Yes.
Hedrick.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Provost. Committee item 11 proposes an approval of purchase for the Starbucks Master Licensing Agreement. Dr. Bill?
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. The Starbucks Coffee Shop in the Morris University Center opened in August of 2002, 21 years ago, next month. So SIUE desires to continue operating the Starbucks Coffee Shop in its current location. I will note that I've met Ed there a number of times. This master licensing agreement would provide for the continuing operation of the coffee shop for an initial 5-year term with a 5-year option for renewal. The first 5-year term starts July 1, 2023 and goes through June 30, 2028. Chancellor Minor and I recommend approval of the master licensing agreement.
Any discussion? Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
yes,
Hedrick.
Yes.
Thank you.
This item is approved. Committee item 12 proposes the approval of an incentive compensation for Chancellor Lane. President Mahoney, will you present?
Yeah, thank you, trustee Treasurer. Just a reminder, this was something that was added to Chancellor Lane's contract last year. We post the letters for both the chancellor's reviews, and those will go up tomorrow. So there'll be more details available for those who want to get into that. I'll highlight a few things for Chancellor Lane. I want to point out the only reason we're not recommending a bonus for Chancellor Minor is because that's not part of his contract currently. So there's not, that's the reason for the differences. So we look at Chancellor Lane's performance. I'm recommending the full performance bonus based on several factors, including improvements in enrollment, particularly freshman enrollment from fall of 19 to fall of 22. It's up 46% in new freshmen. And we're anticipating an increase in crossing our fingers for this fall, but right now it looks very much like there'll be another increase this year. Fundraising success has increased considerably, the second highest fundraising year ever this year, and the highest was last year. So the 2-year combined is about 10 million more than we've ever raised in a 2-year period in the past. That's significant, particularly because, as a reminder, again, this incentive bonus all comes from the foundation dollars. So it makes sense given the success fundraising wise. Building up his leadership team, both at the vice chancellor and dean level. When Chancellor Lane arrived, I think interim was the default for everybody's title. That is now not the case. We really have filled all those positions with a very, very strong leadership team that sets us up for good success in the future. And then also he's shown really great strength in relationship building, both on campus, in the community and across the state. So for all of those reasons, I'm recommending the full performance bonus.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to add, there's a few things that Dr. Lane has exceeded expectations. When he came on board, we were in declining in enrollment. Our fiscal health was not in good shape, and he hit the ground running. And he has done just a absolutely wonderful job. He's developed a very professional team. And from my standpoint, have lived in Carbondale and going around town and people talk to me about what a wonderful job he's doing. Not only for people that work at the university, but for the surrounding area, the people that don't. Everybody's impressed with Dr. Lane and what he is doing, and he has brought new energy to the Carbondale campus. And so I fully support this incentive bonus, and he richly deserves it.
May I say? I fully agree with Chair Gilbert, because being on campus off and on, I hear all positive things that Dr. Lane is doing a great job from our faculty. I still have contacts in the town and faculty. So I'm very pleased with Dr. Lane's performance, as President Mahoney and Chair Gilbert said.
I would add as well that exceeds expectations is the word that I would use. As someone who chose to come to SIU, I perceived SIUC. I perceived an institution that had declining freshman enrollment. But when I arrived, I found out I was part of one of the largest freshman classes that we've had in the last 5 to 10 years. So I was very glad to find that. And I think enrollment has gone up, and that's only going to increase the strength of our institution. But as noted in our recommendation letter for this incentive compensation, the retention is going to be the next thing that our chancellor is going to be addressing. And I have all the hope that he will be able to exceed our expectations once again, and ensuring that retention, especially for disadvantaged students, is increased drastically and dramatically, so that we can have this same discussion in positive light at our next meeting.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So second.
Madam Secretary?
Curtis.
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Tedrick.
Yes, this item is approved by committee. Committee item 13 proposes the approval of an incentive compensation for President Mahoney. Chair Gilbert, will you discuss this item?
Thank you, Chair Tedrick. When I was appointed to the board in 2014, higher education throughout Illinois was on the ropes due to lack of state funding and support and declining enrollment. At that time, the SIU system was not only facing budgetary issues, but we also had top leadership problems, whereby there was an effort to even dissolve the system. Campus leadership wouldn't communicate with each other, not to speak of very little collaboration, and divisions on the board at that time by itself didn't help. There was low morale on the campuses due in large part to both funding issues as well as top administrators not being as effective as they should be in managing the system. In the last few years, the SIU system and its educational components have done a 180, whereby we are working together and communicating and moving our campus system and campuses forward. The turnaround is due to several factors, including a new and cohesive board of trustees that works together on issues and policies for our system, state leadership from the governor's office on down through our local legislators who value higher education and has increased funding from previous levels. And last but not least, the phenomenal leadership of our president, Dan Mahoney. Tomorrow, Keith will be releasing the evaluations that I signed for the president, as well as what the president signed for Dr. Lane and Dr. Minor. But just a few of the highlights from that report is that Dr. Mahoney's continued to build upon the advancement of our SIU system, strategic plan. He has worked with campuses to engage in long-term planning regarding academic programs and student success. He continues to increase system-wide collaborations and build communication throughout the SIU system. He worked with the system leaders to improve fiscal health of the SIU system, and President Mahoney has made great strides in advancement of the SIU anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. He continues to build upon the goal of making SIU a leader in the region, state, and nationally in the ADEI efforts. And he's worked closely with campuses as they continue to grow their fundraising efforts, where we've had the highest fundraising for the system in a long time. His accomplishments in the 3 years he has headed our system has been remarkable. When you consider when he was hired, we were in the beginning throes of a pandemic for which there was no playbook to go on. And we came through the pandemic in better shape than most universities. And at this time, I want to give a shout out to Dean Cruz for his leadership and advice to Dr. Mahoney and others during the pandemic, and assisting Dr. Mahoney during these unsettling times when, like I said, there was no playbook on navigating students, faculty, and staff through these difficult times. And he got everybody on the same page through these various campuses. President Mahoney has made excellent leadership hires on both the SIUE and SIUC campuses. And for a change, campuses and administrators are talking and communicating with each other. Dr. Mahoney has implemented ways to foster greater cooperation and collaboration between the various campuses, thereby effectively managing our resources and building upon the strengths of the system. In sum, Dr. Mahoney has met and exceeded all goals and standards that we've set for him. You know, growing up in Carbondale, and Trustee Tedrick also grew up in Carbondale, I have known every president from Dwight Morris on. In fact, the first time I was ever sent to the principal's office was in kindergarten at Pulliam Hall when Dr. Morris came in to observe class, and I jumped up and went and kicked him in the leg, which I used to do when he and Dorothy would come over to our house and he would play with me pretending to box me. Needless to say, Dr. Mott, who was my kindergarten teacher, as well as Trustee Tedrick's, she was your kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
She kind of freaked out, not knowing that my parents and the Morrises were close personal friends. So growing up, we would spend a lot of time with the Morrises. And having known and observed all past presidents, I can honestly say that in the short 3 years Dr. Mahoney has been here, after Dwight Morris, because I think Dr. Morris kind of is in a class by himself. He is one of the best presidents the SIU system has had. He has established himself in his short 3 years as one of the best. We've had several past presidents leave for greener pastures, and stability in leadership positions or lack thereof has been a continuing criticism over the years of SIU. We want to keep great administrators. And in order to do so, we must be competitive in the compensation packages and performance bonuses as a way to accomplish that goal. And we want Dr. Mahoney to have SIU as love for him to be this last stop on his education career. But so accordingly, members of the board, I recommend that Dr. Mahoney receive $150,000 in incentive compensation for the outstanding job he has done this past year at the SIU system, and we look forward to his continuing success in managing and moving the system and each of our campuses forward.
Thank you. As a note that the bonus money comes from the
Yeah,
foundation.
yeah, but it's not state dollars.
Yes.
These are bonus money is coming from the foundation.
Any discussion, any comments? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Need a second? Subash, will you second it?
Oh, I moved. Oh, second. I seconded.
Madam Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Hedrick.
Yes. This item is approved by committee. There's no further business. We are adjourned.
Okay, thank you, trustee Tedrick. The next is the Architectural and Design Committee. Mr. Simmons, you may proceed.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from April 27th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Moved in second, Madam Secretary?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes,
Hedrick.
yes.
thank you. Committee item 2 proposes an award of contracts for the atrium gathering space at the School of Medicine. Dean Cruz, would you please present this?
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is a construction cost for the atrium gathering space. That's a space in this building, 801 North Rutledge, 7,200 square feet for food service, coffee shop, vending machines, gathering relaxation space, HVAC update. At the April 27th, 2023 board meeting, the Board of Trustees approved the budget for this overall project at 5.7 million. We now seek to award a contract to Core Construction in Peoria, Illinois for the general construction, electrical, HVAC, and signage for this area, and also furniture, fixture, and equipment to be purchased pursuant to the appropriate Illinois Public Health Education Cooperative contracts for the appropriate amount. Funding is from our plant funds.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve committee item 2?
So moved.
Been moved, second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. We call the roll?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Hedrick.
Yes.
Thank you. Committee item 3 proposes the project and budget approval and award of contracts for the turf replacement of the Abe Martin Field at SIUC. Chancellor Lane, will you present this item?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This hopefully will stop the excuses from our baseball coach that our guys can't field the ground balls that are hit. So
Good luck.
this is good luck with that. No more excuses here, but this matter seeks the approval for the budget and award of contract to replace the turf at Abe Martin Field. Current baseball turf is about 10 years old and at the end of its anticipated lifespan. Replacing it is it's prioritized among other needs, given the health, safety, and welfare of our student athletes. The costs are fully covered through a reserve fund for capital renewal projects in athletics. Submit this for your consideration.
Thank you, Chancellor Lane. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second,
So second.
any discussion? Thank you, Madam Secretary. We call the roll?
Curtis,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Hedrick.
Yes.
Motion passes. And if there is no other business before this committee, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, trustee Simmons. We're going to take about a 10 or 15-minute recess before we begin the full board meeting. So we'll stand in recess for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Carry on.
Hey, John, that was pretty
Oh,
good.
I didn't know who did.
I'm trying to learn. Yeah, but Roger was Roger kind of, yeah. Went on and on.
Oh, yeah. They're gonna.
We're gonna have to set him down. Difference between governance and management.
That's all.
August, July. We don't know the direction of the law. We're going to use,
Yeah, I know you gotta watch it.
People don't care. एक ही लड़का है उनसे
Yeah. No, उसमें है फैन जब अमित ने कभी नहीं चलाया तो why do I have to worry? I don't know तेरे को तो
Okay.
Since I'm up early, we might want to wait till-
Okay.
She was about 2 minutes away.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And I told Reese that you will present him with a framed copy of the resolution. After you read it, and then I'll come read it, just get a quick picture.
Is Mike here?
Yes.
Down when.
Okay, I want to go up.
Really?
Appreciate you doing this.
Yes, yes. I had forgotten about it because it'd been so long. It was something that I had just totally. The bronze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about somebody.
Yeah. Very fun. I have to take my kids. Yeah. Both of my letters. Yeah, that would really be exciting. I mean, put the two together.
So you know when she gets here and
Had an eye exam. But when they're 40.
is she can reporting on? Pardon?
40th birth set up.
Okay, but where do we get to that?
That's important.
Okay, so I can, she'll surely be right, you'll get started and.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was psychosomatic or
Okay.
what the deal was, but it was just.
You never ever needed him, Roger.
Oh, I got mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Illinois University Board of Trustees Full Board Meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Present.
Gilbert,
Present.
Harris. Present. Hightower,
Present.
Ludwig. Salger. Present. Sharma,
Present.
Simmons,
Present.
Tedrick.
Present.
A quorum is established. I would like to again welcome our new student trustees, Lauren Harris and Victor Ludwig, to their first full board meeting. I would like to announce that during the public portion of yesterday's meeting, I appointed trustee Harris to serve as a member of the Academic Matters Committee and Audit Committee, and I appointed trustee Ludwig to serve as a member of the Finance Committee and Architectural Design Committee. In addition, I would like to announce that during yesterday's executive session, the board approved for release executive session minutes, excerpts for the meeting of December 2022 through February 2023. And those will be posted on the board's website tomorrow for public inspection. The next item of business is the approval of the minutes for the meeting that was held April 26th and 27th. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris. Yes. Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yeah.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Tedrick.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Next, for trustee reports, are there any trustee reports? Mr. Tedrick, will you report on the SIU Foundation?
Yes, thank you, Chair Gilbert. As the board's liaison with the SIU Carbondale Foundation, I'd like to give a year-end report of their process. They raised $31,145,924, which was from 38,481 gifts. On the Forever SIU campaign, which is a 500 million campaign, they're now at roughly 287 million. The day of giving, they raised 4,037,918. 9,120 gifts were received for the endowment, which is the most ever in a single year. The inaugural event in Chicago, the Saluki Ball, had 615 attendees, funding the Bridge the Gap scholarships. On the Saluki Takeover Tour, highly successful events hosted in Chicago, St. Louis, Nashville, and Florida West Coast. Next year, Springfield and Southern Illinois will be added. And on scholarships, 4,931,584 scholarships, distribute a whopping 1,467,000 more than last year. 14.1% of SIU students receive foundation scholarships. Thank you. That's my report.
That's great news.
It's a great year.
That is wonderful news. Okay, our next item of business is Executive Officers Report, but before we have the reports, need to, a press release went out, but one of our former chancellors, former SIU Chancellor Vandergrift, passed away recently. While I did not know Chancellor Vandergrift, I've heard nothing but great things about him and his leadership at SIU Edwardsville. Several of our current board members had the opportunity to serve while he was chancellor and knew him well. Before I ask for a moment of silence, I don't know whether Dr. Hightower, you or Mr. Tedrick or Mr. Simmons would like to say something about Chancellor Vandergrift.
Well, I would like to say that Chancellor Vandergrift was an outstanding leader and a better person. He was very much out in the community, working with the various stakeholders, push SIUE to the next level. Took a major role in helping to move SIUE from a commuter campus to a residential campus. He pushed strongly to make SIU Division I athletic institution and put the resources behind where SIU Edwardsville is today. You know, we like to kid about his golf game, but he was a wonderful humanitarian, and we're going to certainly miss him. He left his mark on SIUE as well as the SIU system.
Mr. Simmons or Mr. Tedrick?
What Dr. Hightower said, I would agree with, and just add that he was a wonderful man to work with.
I would just be duplicative, so.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a moment of silence in memory of Chancellor Vandergrift. Okay, thank you. President Mahoney, will you present your report for the SIU system?
Yeah, so I'll start with the presentation and update on the strategic plan, and I'll turn it over to Courtney Breckenridge and Dr. Carrie Butts-Wilsmeyer. They'll come down now.
Okay, this is primarily Carrie's show, but I just want to start by saying an incredible thank you to the service of everybody serving on the SIU system strategic plan implementation teams. You're going to see the fruits of their labor reflected in the dashboard, which we're very excited to kind of formally unveil today. And by the end of the month, we will have an updated website and the full reports will be submitted to the board with all of the notes and comments from each of the implementation teams. So with that, I will hand it over to my boss, Carrie Butts-Wilmsmeyer, who's going to walk you through some of the features of the dashboard.
A wee bit shorter than Courtney is. All right. So by the way, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us today. I want to echo Courtney first and foremost that the work of the 15 different implementation teams that have contributed toward measuring the progress in the system strategic plan is absolutely Herculean. They have done amazing in compiling data and also showing us where we have gaps, where we need improvements to meet our goals. I think we're ready. If you wouldn't mind pushing play for us. Thank you so much. One thing that we put together a quick YouTube video because every single year that I have been working with Power BI, it has updated in July. So we want to make sure that it's actually live. As you can see, there are 6 different goals that we are working toward. Academic innovation, student success, system diversity and inclusion council, community impact, research, creative activities and partnerships, faculty and staff, and sustainability. All of these are highlighted on the overview dashboard page. Some of them are going to be more qualitative metrics, such as for our academic innovation and student success. Our main metric this year was that we developed the infrastructure that was needed for SIU online. We don't have students yet, so we can't report student numbers, but we can show that we have actually come in and made measurable success. As I was showing right on, would you hear, pause for me real quick. Sorry, I'm getting off a little bit. As I was showing right before we moved over to this page, you can actually click where it says goal underneath each of the individual goal pages, and it will move you to a page where it will not just show the highlights, such as 687 faculty and staff or staff that participated in the staff needs survey, but it will also bring you to the goal and spread out each and every single one of the metrics and milestones that goal and its associated implementation teams have been tasked with. At the top of that page, there will be the overall objective that goal is working toward, or overall goal for that goal group, as well as the individual objectives that goal is working toward. Would you care to hit play for me again? Thank you so much. And underneath that, we have spread out each of the metrics so that they are visually appealing and they are interactive. So for instance, this is showing the faculty and staff demographics across all of our campuses, whether it be Carbondale, School of Medicine, or SIUE, or you can even look at them all together. You can also look at individual job categories, and this will update interactively, whether it's clerical, secretarial, executive, faculty, or other, to see if there are discrepancies and the breakups, for instance, across each of these different groups. What is also really interesting, you can see male and female, of course, with this as well. And we've been able to replicate some form of this for each and every single one of the goals. There are also call outs for things that are more baseline type metrics. So for instance, staff response to the professional development needs survey, there are that 687 number broken out by campus as well. And so many of our metrics that we will be presenting or have created for the dashboard for each of the goals have also been broken out in that way. We'll be updating this across the next several months as more data comes in. So for instance, you received data, I believe Sunday, right? Because of the nature of some of the data that's being collected and the time scale therein. So one of the nice things that this dashboard has been created to do is to be able to update in real time. Once we publish it, which it's already ready, we just basically have to push go effectively and add some content through Cascade. It'll be live and ready for everyone to view and to show the really awesome things that SIU as a system is doing.
Any questions for them?
Outstanding.
It is unbelievable. It really is what you've been able to put in there. It is wonderful.
Well, thank you. And it could not be possible. Also, Dr. Gupchup sitting over in the corner. I mean, it would not be possible without him as well as the.
Don't give him the big head now.
Well, thank you again for all the work you've done on this. Again, one of the things I certainly wanted to do coming in was be more transparent with our data, and particularly the data related to our major goals. And this will allow us to do that. And the way they're setting it up will allow us to update it very regularly and again, allow you to dig down, like you said, campus-wide, job position-wide, whatever it is for each of the goals, which is really helpful.
Dr. Mahoney, how are we getting this information out to our general population that this dashboard is there?
Right.
And how are we marketing it?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, one of the implementation teams that we have is focused on marketing and communication. I think once we have it, where we're ready to kind of put it out to the general public, we'll work with them to find ways to make sure people know it's available and kind of push people towards it.
Okay, good.
And when can we go on and play with it?
Oh, August 1st, I believe is our target. Yep.
Don't let John go on.
See if I can crash it.
Any other questions for them? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.
Rest of my report will be relatively brief. Just want to let you know, talked a little last night about our anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. One of the things we really do work on is focusing on system-wide collaboration. August 3rd and 4th, we'll be meeting in Edwardsville to have a retreat of all of the people who are involved with the leaders really of the anti-racism, diversity, equity, inclusion groups on each of the campuses. Dr. Caldwell will be organizing that retreat. I'll be there as well. We also are continuing to take our leadership at the state level. So October 19th and 20th, we'll do our second annual Illinois Higher Education Symposium relative to equity, and that'll be in Collinsville. So with both of the retreat and the symposium, our goal is to move this around the Southern Illinois region. And we're continuing to do that. Also related to our efforts there, pleased to announce that we got $300,000 from the Lumina Foundation to focus on student success efforts, particularly focusing on students in classes with high DFW rates. In other words, classes where a lot of students are failing or having to withdraw from the class. So very happy. And again, Dr. Caldwell took the lead on that, but it was a system-wide collaboration with a lot of contributions from the campuses as well. I would be remiss if I didn't once again thank the legislature and the governor for the support for both higher education and SIU this year. It really was an incredible year. The increase for MAP funding and AIM High, which was made permanent, both those really help out our students and really make college more affordable for everybody. The 7% increase in general appropriations was an incredibly large increase compared to what has traditionally been the case. The $15 million for the Center for Health and Athletic Performance at Edwardsville was something we had been working on and achieved this year. And then another $560,000 for the Office of Community Development and Institute of Rural Health. Both of those were things we had worked on for a little while and got support for that this year. So all of that will help us do a lot of really great things going forward. And we're very appreciative of the support from both the legislature and the governor. So that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Chancellor Lane, we present the report for the Carbondale campus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we get the PowerPoint pulled up, I just want to thank one of our new members to our team, Jeff Harmon. Jeff, are you up there? Jeff is how many couple of weeks, Jeff? Who's counting, huh? Well, thanks to Jeff and then thanks to Maggie behind us for helping us get this presentation up. I always like to start with our top 5 priorities, just to make sure everyone knows that thank you, Maggie, that we're focused in. Gives you a general sense of what our campus is always focused on in these 5 particular areas, and very, very refreshing to see the overall dashboard from the system that Dr. Mahoney just presented. I want to give you a little flavor of what's happening on campus as we speak. And is there a way to hit? Okay.
So I'm Jeff McGuire, I'm Director of Exploratory Student Advisement, and I'm very, very happy to work with this wonderful program. Chancellor Lane came in 2020 and said he would like to create a summer program in the name of the late Dr. Seymour Bryson and bring back the Future Scholars. So we combined the two, we named it after Dr. Bryson, and we started this revamp of the Future Scholars in 2021. And what we've done is we've invited 50 students who are going to be college freshmen here at SIU in the fall to take 8 credit hours in 4 weeks. So they're taking English, they're taking speech, as well as a university one-on-one orientation class. And we're also taking some cultural and enrichment trips on Saturdays. But we have them, it's a residential summer program, and everything is funded by the SIU Foundation. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for students to get an early jump on their college education and see what the SIU experience is like. We have students who were participants in the prior 2 years who serve as counselors, as well as some other volunteers that are helping out. And we make sure that we expose them to the campus partners and other individuals so they can tell them what the Saluki experience is all about. So it's a wonderful 4 weeks for these students.
I feel this program is helping me for coming into my freshman year because it is preparing me on how to do essays the correct way. It's preparing me with all the classes coming together in one some of the resources that I learned this past summer that I'm going to use in the fall is the student center and also the library as well. They have tutoring there as well that we have been using for our advantage for class homeworks, anything we need done with essays, corrections. They have computers there just in case any students don't have any. So it's pretty much everything we need here at SIU, and that's why I love the program so much.
I think that this program is really helpful for me because it gives me like a step through like what college would be like before the fall hits, and I know with all my classes I'll probably be like struggling and stuff. And I think the classes are nice, the professors are really, really nice. I've met a lot of new people. I'm not really like an outgoing person, but we're all like in a tight-knit place where we can express ourselves freely. This fall, I am most excited about meeting new people and being on my own, but it's also a fear of mine because I'm going to be so far away from home. But I'm pretty sure that here at SIU, I'm going to feel at home because of the people around me.
My experience in this program has been a very eventful one, from the trips to the meeting the professors and them doing a great job getting us to understand our resources, with my favorite resource being the tutors, you know, and the fact that they are students. So they've been through everything we are gonna go through and going through currently, from the assignments to the stress to the learning how to not procrastinate, you know, and time management and things of that nature. Without the counselors helping us constantly and telling us what to expect, I would come in blind. I've been given a head start, and I'm a Salukii, and I'm proud to be one. Hey, I love it here. I love being a Salukii.
That's what we love to hear. That program, as you heard, is funded by the SIU Foundation. We've done that for a couple of years now. Phenomenal program, great success rates. We put a lot of support around those students, and they do a fantastic job. Tomorrow, we're hosting our Black alumni group. That group comes to campus every other year, and we'll have hundreds, maybe even thousands of alums that were here years ago, that many of which got in because of Dr. Seymour Bryson. So we thought it was very fitting to have his name there. There's a picture I probably skipped over, but the first trip was actually to Springfield for that particular group. So they were here a couple of weeks ago and got a chance to interact with some folks that were down here and some of our alums. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dr. Linda Baker, who I think is also up there. But Dr. Baker is kind of our eyes and ears down here. When we send students, it's like the mother. We make sure that, you know, they at least know, or she knows where they are at all times. So thank you for that, Dr. Baker. Really good news to report, and I always use a disclaimer that we still have several weeks to go, so we need to keep our foot on the gas. It's no time to let up, but very promising arrows that are going there. As you can see, our applications are way up in terms of folks who are interested in SIU Carbondale. That's what we'd like to see. The number of students admitted is at 4.6%. So again, that number is up. And then most importantly, getting those students enrolled is even more critical. A number I like to point out when I'm talking to different stakeholders in the region. When I came a couple of years ago, the concern was that we were not recruiting locally. We were not focusing on students in our region. Well, that day has changed. We're up 4.8%. We continue to work those partnerships in our region and red carpet those students. We also have outside of our region and the state, we're up as well. So we're excited about those numbers. What I'm really confused about, and I talk to Wendell and our team all the time, we've got some work to do. As you see the bottom arrow with our white students, as you can see, we're down there about 1%. So we've got to figure out what's going on there and make sure we close that gap and address that. But that is something that we're focused on, and we've got the data to help us in those areas. So promising news. Again, we still have a ways to go here, a couple of weeks before we start. Our transfer numbers are up as well. I think that's due to a lot of the partnerships that we've been forming, but really excited about what it looks like, but we're still working. Our new student orientation, this will include whether new students or transfer students. That number is very promising. These are indicators when we look at who's actually coming to orientation, who's registering, who has housing contracts. Housing contract is another area where we're up. So these are all indicators that really help us get a sense about what we may look like for the fall. The next slide, we thought you would always want to see this. And again, you know, it helps to have the kind of support in the state when you talk about our aim high and you talk about our MAP grants, and in the future, those are going to increase, which means it will hopefully help our students be able to register and cover some of those costs. But this just gives you a general sense. And then Trustee Chedrick mentioned the amount of support that the foundation is giving as well in terms of our scholarships. So it all helps. All of those baskets help. We've got a new process now. When we admit students, we give them a pretty extensive award sheet, so they get a real clear sheet of what it's going to cost them, and then everything that we're going to do to put on them in terms of aim high, MAP, or SIUE commitment, all of those things that will help students and their parents understand how we're going to help them get here. And it's something that we just started doing this year, and really helpful to those students when they get those sheets. So excited about it. Our SIUE Step Ahead partnerships, you'll get a sense of those institutions that we have formed some partnerships with. This has really taken off. A lot of what you're seeing is in-state. I'll draw your attention. I think Trustee Sharma may be covering it up there, but Lone Star College is probably behind him on that screen. We hosted about 14 advisors from Lone Star College out of the there it is, out of the Texas area. Lone Star College has approximately 90,000 plus students that are ready to transfer at any given time. And so we're hoping that bridge to Lone Star to us, these are students that will not come to Carbondale. They'll finish their last 2 years fully online with us. So we're working that pipeline to really attract more students there. We're going to do the same in Dallas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and the Austin, San Antonio area. So Texas is a very, very big growth market that we're trying to tap into on the community college front.
Great.
That's the picture I thought we had a little bit earlier, but this is the picture of our students from the Dr. Seymour Bryson Future Scholars Program. So again, just want to highlight them. We're excited about this. Trustee Chedrick, I told you the symbol there, and Trustee Sharma, you're probably excited about that too. You had
Yes, I am.
I figured you'd be excited about this. The CEO of Contour has graciously is going to have that SIUE sticker on there when he's flying from Marion up to Chicago and back. So as you know, we've got a lot of students in the Chicago area, a lot of alums in the Chicago area that will be getting on that flight. I'm scheduled with Cheryl and some of our other folks to be on there August 1st. We'll be on the first flight to Chicago, and not just going up there for fun. We're going to take care of some business too. So it's not just a trip. It's not a trip. Right, Cheryl, we've got planned meetings up there. So this is not we're not playing around. I think that flight is $59 one way as the incentive. So we're going to be marketing that to our students and making sure that they know that's another way to get down to Carbondale and connect us to Chicago. So excited about it. They're also going to allow us to essentially take over the airport with our branding and marketing. And I know Jeff Harmon and his team have been out there. We want to make sure when those SIUEs get off the plane, they know they're home, they know they're back on campus, and they're feeling good about returning to campus. So you'll see a lot of marketing in that regard. This is just some of the things we've been doing around the city of Carbondale to keep that connection with our city, obviously, and be a good partner to them. But they're doing a lot of murals around the Carbondale area with the SIUE head. So we're excited about that. That's for us just more brand exposure and letting the community know that we're not just physically located there, but we're actually, we're there for them. We want to be a part of the community. And so that's a big piece that we're focused on in that regard. One of the things we're doing, for those that remember the SIU Arena, we used to have the concerts. Many of you saw Elvis and all these other legendary acts way back when. And we're trying to bring some of that back. This does have more of a Southern Illinois regional flavor to it with Sam Hunt. So we're trying to attract, obviously, some families in our region. This concert is appropriately titled Summer on the Outskirts. So the tour actually targets areas like us that would then hopefully bring in other folks from around the community. I want to thank Matt Ballman. Matt's been working really hard on this to get this concert, and in addition to Sarah and some others that are out there doing this. So we think this is going to be big. Another way to generate some revenue over in Banterra, to do it when no one's in there. And so this will be hopefully a really good event on August the 3rd. So I plan on being there. It ought to be a really fun time. So in a good act. This is what we call the trustee, Dr. Ed Hightower slide. This slide, and thanks, Jeff, for putting this together. This slide gives you a sense about, again, not only where we're showing up, right? Whether it's in our state or outside of the state, but anytime we have anything to brag about, we're hitting a number of different media markets or different areas to be able to showcase exactly what we have in here. One thing I know Jeff is working on this to even update even more is our promote.siu.edu. It's another avenue to be able to brag a little bit about what's happening on campus. So this work continues. We do want to get that message out there about what our faculty, staff, and students are doing, and so excited about the work that's happening there. Last slide, we just hired our Vice Chancellor for Research and our Dean of Graduate School. That is Kostas Satsoulis. We hired him a couple of months ago, but I wanted to point this slide out. He's having a lot of success early on with revamping a lot of things and encouraging and supporting our faculty. One of the things that we have operating now, or putting together with the help of our new provost and our faculty senate president, our faculty association president, is the exploration committee of a possible movement from R2 to R1. We have been talking about that for a couple of years. We're now getting to the point where we can start to look at what that looks like. What does it mean for our institution to do that? And can we make that leap? And so you'll hear more over the next year or so. I'll give you some reports on where we sit with that. But our research awards are up 40% compared to FY 2022. We've revamped some of our indirect costs to make it more of an incentive for our faculty as they do their work. And so we're really excited about the work that's happening there. And last slide that I have is our new sustainability director. Why is this important, or why am I showing this? In our Imagine SIUC in 2030 strategic plan, our students spoke very loud and clear about them wanting us to not only be accountable for sustainability, but to include it inside of our strategic plan and make some strides in that regard. And so we were without Amy for a while in that particular area, but glad to have her on board. She's going to be a really good asset to our institution, and working with our facilities director and our CFO, Susan Simmers, and some others on different projects. So on that note, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
I would like to just add something. In addition to the new air service we have out of Marion, Carbondale and Amtrak in partnership is building a new transportation center in downtown Carbondale. And a few weeks ago, we had both United States senators attend the groundbreaking of that. And they even gave me a shovel. I was representing the university, thanks to Matt Bauman, who told me to get down there. And but I said a few remarks and said that the university, faculty, staff, and students are going to benefit tremendously from this new facility that's going to be built. And we had mayors from around the community, and it's more of a regional thing, but I mean, SIU will probably benefit more than anybody from this new transportation center that's being built in Carbondale.
Definitely will.
So. Okay, Dr. Cruz, your report for the Medical School of Medicine.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to give a report on 4 individuals who are quite creative and innovative, who are at various levels of professional development and have various levels of relationships with the SIU School of Medicine. Whoa, look at that. Can you move that top part, Mac? No, go No, that little box. Well, anyway, the first one is Taylor Badger, who is now a year 4 medical student here. So the National Institute of Health, NIH, is the premier research organization for medicine in the United States and in the world. Each year, 50 or 51 students are selected to be medical research scholars from all of the medical schools, osteopathic schools, veterinary schools, and dental schools in the United States. So 299 schools total. One of this year's medical research scholars is Taylor Badger. Again, one of our medical students who spent the year between her 3rd year in medical school and 4th year in medical school as a researcher at the NIH in Bethesda, Maryland, in suburban Washington, D.C. You know, obviously, that's a very prestigious award with just that many students getting it. So she worked with Dr. Veronica Gomez-Lobo at the National Institute for Child Health and Human Development on a big project to preserve fertility in young girls with cancer who undergo chemotherapy. So there, she honed her research skills. She learned from the best scientists in the world. She learned how to do scientific writing. She learned how to publish. She gained skills in becoming a clinician scientist in her chosen field of obstetrics and gynecology. She's really passionate about this. This is a quote from her. "I've always loved my experiences in research going back to 2017 when I was a Simmons Cancer Institute summer intern." So she actually worked with Dr. Andrea Braunmeyer Fleming while she was a student at the University of Wisconsin, came back during the summer, studied microbiomes, the natural occurring bacteria and viruses that everybody has, whose footprint can actually sometimes predict disease, important in prevention and treatment of diseases like endometriosis and ovarian cancer. And she has had very good mentorship here in Springfield, Illinois, her hometown, for this career. So let's see, next one. There we go. Whoops, lost my page here. The next one is Alexis Heyman, who is actually an SIU Carbondale student. Now, the Lincoln Academy admits its older members to the Order of Lincoln based on their lifetime achievement and is the highest civilian honor in the state of Illinois. The awardees are deemed Lincoln laureates. So the Lincoln Academy also honors students with the Abraham Lincoln Civic Engagement Award, and these students are deemed student Lincoln laureates. They're honored for their leadership and service and in pursuit of overall excellence in curricular and extracurricular activities. So Alexis Heyman was awarded this honor as a student Lincoln laureate. She's from Aviston, Illinois, a physiology major, and she will graduate in May. So lots of things that she's done to deserve this. She served as the local president of Timmy Global Health. It's an amazing organization that helps people without homes to acquire goods and healthcare services using a community-oriented primary care model. That's a model that was developed at the SIU School of Medicine in conjunction with others back in the 1980s and 90s. It's really an amazing thing. She also received the SIUC Distinguished Service Award, but the important thing, at least from my standpoint, is she's been particularly adept at research, serving as a really valuable partner to Dr. Buck Hales, our chair of biomedical sciences for the School of Medicine in Carbondale. She's worked with him since she was a freshman on his projects that involve natural agents like flaxseed oil for the prevention and treatment of ovarian cancer. So in that project, she became an expert histotechnologist, one of the best microscopists that Dr. Hales has ever had, and her microscopic evaluations have been essential for the success of that research of Dr. Hales. Now, Alexis also is a great ambassador for SIU. She hopes to inspire other students, and she said this: "With such a supportive system and community, the sky is truly the limit. SIU gives students all the tools they need to achieve all they desire." She plans a career in medicine. That's a good deal as well. Yeah, but these two, Taylor Badger and Alexis Heyman, have started early on their careers in their undergraduate years to supplement them with other experiences to become clinician scientists. Usually we like to think that our graduates of medical school will touch positively the lives of tens of thousands of people. Clinician scientists, that can be tens of millions, actually. So we're very proud of what they're doing for sure. Okay, next one, Buck Hales. I did mention that Alexis worked in Dr. Hale's lab, and I just wanted to mention him. He's been with the SIU School of Medicine for 17 years, has done some amazing research, chair of the department. He retired June 30th. He has helped develop the undergraduate physiology courses, which have been amazing for SIU Carbondale, in addition to our master's and PhD courses. His PhD is in biochemistry, biophysics, and genetics, but he's focused mainly on physiology throughout his career. And I'm happy to say that after a 2-month hiatus, he will return to his lab to continue that research because he has funding for that. So our thanks to Dr. Hales for all he's done to serve the School of Medicine SIU system. And the last one is Nathan Jones, who's gone to Mars, virtually, actually. He's a 2009 graduate of the School of Medicine. He's an emergency medicine physician at Springfield Memorial Hospital and an adjunct associate professor of emergency medicine for the School of Medicine. He's also certified in emergency medicine services, which is giving emergent care outside the hospital, and also certified in austere medicine, which is providing emergency services in the face of the least resources that you can. He's been selected for the NASA Crew Health Performance Exploration Analog Program that will simulate living on Mars for a year. So he was chosen from hundreds of applicants to be a member of the 4-member team who will live for 1 year without a break in a 1,700 square foot laboratory facility that was created by 3D printed surface analog structure. He's there. He started in June.
Is that in Hawaii?
Huh?
Where is that?
I don't
Or is that top secret?
I think it
Okay.
must be in a desert somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, the YouTube video is really amazing. And all you have to do is Google Nathan Jones Mars YouTube, and you'll be able to watch that. So I won't put that up there today. And you know, it's a really cool thing to be selected for. You know, he's given up a lot to do that. He will be paid $10 an hour for every waking hour. That's about $60,000 a year. Anyway, that's my report for today. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cruz. Chancellor Minor, before you give your report, there's a couple of comments I want to make. You came on board under very difficult circumstances of an $18 million hole in the SIUE's budget, which I might add that neither I or I know other members of the board were not aware of when you came on board. I'm sure you weren't aware of it when you came on board. And you've been able to reduce that budget by over 60% in your first year. This is quite an accomplishment, especially in these times of financial constraints throughout education. You were also faced with having to negotiate a new contract with the Faculty Association. And although the negotiations were difficult, your team reached an agreement with them. And looking at the audience, I understand that there's probably another contract that you're going to have to negotiate, but we have every confidence that you'll be able to be successful in those negotiations too. You've completed the SIU strategic plan, which aligns with the system plan, which is another accomplishment during your first year. In putting your team together, you've made important and effective leadership hires. Retention is up, especially among Black and African-American students. And as pointed out in President Mahoney's evaluation, which will be released tomorrow, there were successes related to anti-racism, diversity and equity and inclusion at SIU Edwardsville. And last but definitely not least, SIU has had a record day of giving that almost doubled the previous record, which will increase scholarship opportunities for students at SIU Edwardsville. So speaking for myself, and I believe the entire board, you have done an excellent job under very challenging circumstances during your first year. And we look forward to your continued success at SIUE.
Thank you. I would like to add on to that as well. As Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees and having served on this board, I think longer than any trustee we have here. I've worked with many chancellors over the years, as I have presidents, as the chairman talked about Dr. Mahoney. When we hired Dr. Mahoney, we indicated that we wanted stability in our leadership team. And we have that both as president of the university, Dr. Mahoney, and then our two chancellors. I've lived in Edwardsville for a number of years, and I've worked with every chancellor since I've been there, dating back to 1996. What you've inherited is certainly a tough role coming on, as you did. When campuses were talking about splitting, and the Board of Trustees made it very clear that was not going to happen. And certainly when Dr. Mahoney came on, he inherited challenges as well and worked through those, as was the case with Chancellor Lane. We're saying to you that this Board of Trustees is 100% behind you. Our legislators are 100% behind you. The community is 100% behind you. What you are doing in the community is simply outstanding. You're visible, you listen, you're collaborative, you work, and certainly the challenges that, as the chair has indicated, you've inherited some tough challenges, but you are addressing those professionally. And I think it's critical. I've sat where you are sitting today. I sat in that seat for 19 years, and I know at times it's lonely at the top. And it's important that the 7 individuals, along with the student trustees, let you know that we are 100% behind what you're doing, and you are administering the vision that this board has given to President Mahoney to execute with his leadership team. So stay the course, keep working hard like you're doing, keep communicating, and we support you.
Thank you, Dr. Hightower.
Yeah, I was just I'm gonna add to all the things they said. You have my letter already. Just to be clear again, when we talked about the performance incentive bonuses, we talked about Chancellor Lane in quite a bit of detail because that was a board matter, and we talked about exceeding expectations. In my mind, as we have talked about, you exceeded expectations as well. I just want to make sure that's on the record and very clear.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, reminder, the kumbaya moment is over. So you may now proceed with your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me just say thanks to you and the vice chair and to the board. I want to just make it very clear that even despite the challenges, it is my honor and privilege to serve as chancellor at SIUE, and I really appreciate the support of the board. I want to make a very short presentation this morning, but I want to focus the presentation on 2 distinct areas of our strategic plan. One has to do with access and opportunity. The other has to do with student success and inclusive excellence. And I think both of those things we have really focused our efforts on success for all of our students, regardless of where they arrive from, their background, their academic profile. Our commitment is to every single student who walks through the door at SIUE. What you'll see here, I mentioned last night that commencement is my favorite holiday. I think it's one of the most important things we do. All of the young people who arrive to our college campus have this day in mind. And we know numerically it doesn't happen for every single student. But for those who have the privilege of crossing the stage and earning a high quality degree, we want to make sure that we properly celebrate their accomplishment individually and I think as an institution. 2 things that I'll mention here that I think are important. I do think it is an outstanding accomplishment to be able to say that of the 1,700 degrees that we've conferred, it is the most in the region. And when I engage business and community leaders, I hear very consistently how pleased they are with SIUE graduates and how big of a contribution those graduates are making to business and industry across the region. The other thing that I would mention is that 60% of our graduates remain within a 50-mile radius of the university, which is a remarkable and unique characteristic as reported by our employers in the region. So much of their ability to attract and retain talent is the fluidity of individuals who are coming, who are not particularly committed to the region in the way that our graduates are. And so not only are they pleased with their performance, but they're particularly proud of the fact that they want to be in the region. The next update I'll provide is really about fall enrollment. And I could go on about the numbers and the number of applications. Some of that information is on the screen. But I think the most important thing for the board to know is that the competition has changed. Enrollment management and recruiting new students is different. I think the message to our university community is not only to compete differently, but our enrollment strategy will be both about new student enrollment, but also retention of the students who are currently enrolled. And so we're going to focus on both simultaneously. Applications are up, but I think we've shared a little bit about why that is today. I think the absence of the ACT and SAT, along with the Common App, allows students to apply to 12, 15 institutions at a time. So I think you'll see applications are up in lots of places. We still think it's an important indication that among the institutions that students are selecting, SIUE is one of them. And so the challenge for us now is about converting those students who've applied, who've been admitted, to students who are sitting in our classrooms and living in our residence hall on campus. And that is what I'm suggesting is a different competition. I describe it this way. Just a few short years ago, if a student applied, was admitted, and gave us an indication that they were coming, we would turn and focus on the next student. We can no longer do that. We have to stay with that student all the way until the time that they arrive on campus. And so it has just changed the way we are structured to recruit. Our strategy and the sort of level of customization, targeting to specific groups of students, and the level of engagement that we have to have from the time that we receive an application all the way until the time they're pulling up to move into a residence hall. Next slide. I am very pleased with this. I'm very proud, I should say. What you see here on the screen are a group of first-year students in class. Most of us think about a first-year classroom as a lecture hall with a professor in the front of the classroom in a building on campus. The students you see on the screen reflect the opportunity to affect instant impact in their communities and in the region as first-year students. They are a part of CODES, which is a part of our community-based research partnership with National Great Rivers Research and Education Center in Alton, Illinois University, or Alton, Illinois. The students here, if I could characterize the way that they arrive today, is they're concerned about why the information being provided to them is relevant. And they want to make an instant connection between their learning and an experience that they're having. What is remarkable about this program is that if you think about a student in the very first semester of college, being in a community, working on a real problem in partnership with the community organization is a very unique feature of our undergraduate curriculum, and one that we hope to grow over time. The students report that they love it also, so I'll let you hear from one of those students briefly.
I'm Madison Delgado. I'm from Edwardsville, and I'm studying criminal justice sociology and Spanish. Learning about stuff, you only learn about what's in the books. Whenever you can go out to the community partner, you can ask them questions that may not be in the books or online, and you get to see like physically what's happening there and how people interact with each other there. Our codes group is very, very diverse, and I feel it is a very unique classroom. You learn something new about someone every single day. What they do different in their lives than you do different, what they celebrate different, how they celebrate different, how they think, what they're good at. And it's just very unique to learn how to work as a group with different people that aren't the same as you and still all build to the same goal. You all want to make the world a better place, and we're all starting with Alton. So that is very different than what everyone else is doing, and we also get more hands-on work. Like a lot of students just sit in class 24/7. We have made trips to Alton. We've done little random interviews with people around campus, and it just makes us get out of, like, learn what we're learning in the classroom and take it out of the classroom. What I liked best about our group too is because a lot of the other groups have had the same professor, but we have gotten opportunity to have so many different professors on so many different areas of education that has opened our eyes up to many other ways to think of the problem. Codes is not just students, we are a family now. Like, ever since we have met each other, it is just a big family. We make mistakes together, we fix our mistakes together, we take our pride together, and we learn together. Everything is together, and that's how we're gonna succeed, is together. We're not students, we are a family. And I think everyone in Codes can agree with me on that.
Thank you. So we'll have to bring the students here live so that they're not, so that their faces are live. But I hope you were able to hear from the audio, even the connections that the students are able to make with each other is very different than what happens in a traditional classroom. So we'll more to share on this later, but I wanted you all to have a sense of that feature of our undergraduate curriculum. Dr. Hightower, we don't yet have a dedicated slide for you. We will work on that. But this comes close. During our commencement season, the dean of the School of Business mentioned to me that we were going to win an award. And he mentioned this to me in passing, and I said, well, what's the award? And he said, it's the President's E Award. I don't know everything about it, but they're going to DC to receive the award. And so the team in my office, we get additional information about the award, and it turns out that it's a really big deal. And I have been working with our team about maximizing opportunities to showcase really remarkable accomplishments from the university. The President's E Award, President of the United States E Award, is the highest recognition a person or a U.S. entity can receive for making a contribution to the expansion of U.S. exports. A total of 24 U.S. companies and organizations from 14 states were presented with the President's E Award or the E-Star Award. The Illinois Small Business Development Center and ITC, which is the International Trade Center at SIUE, was the only the only entity selected that is on a university campus. So short team, we didn't have a plane with our logo on it, Chancellor Lane, we're working on it. But we fly to DC to receive this award. And what is remarkable about this is both the Small Business Development Center and ITC on SIUE's campus is driving economic development in Edwardsville, in the region, and beyond. And I don't think that can be understated. And so we will host a a proper celebration for the award on campus will bring together the business community, legislative leaders to really highlight the remarkable work that's taking place at SIUE to drive economic development across the region. Second to last slide that I'll just share, we've heard a lot about the success that we've accomplished in fundraising over the last year. I think there are two features that are important to note. The dedicated annual day of giving is only the second time we've done this as a campus. So we don't have a decade-long history of doing one day, one SIUE. This past year was the second time that we've done it, and to almost double the amount of dollars we raised to support the university in the second year was just truly, 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 truly remarkable. The other great thing that happened this past year is that we experienced a 98% increase from the previous year in fundraising by the foundation, which was also pretty remarkable. And this is not that there's a competition for fundraising for the sake of fundraising. What's important about this, I think President Mahoney and Judge Gilbert mentioned, is that it allows us to support our students. It allows us to support our faculty, and it allows us to strategically advance the university in ways that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. The last slide I'll share has to do with community access or impact and early access. For those of you who understand that a student's decision to attend college doesn't always happen in the moment that they're applying. And sometimes that happens as early as middle school. Sometimes it happens in a relationship as early as elementary school. Every summer we open SIUE up to the community to host a range of summer camps: music, dance, theater, engineering, writing, you name it. We've got more than 2,000 K-12 students on our campus across the summer. And the reason I'm sharing this slide, I want to connect it to the second slide in the presentation on enrollment. What we intend to do going forward is to intentionally infuse a recruitment effort in these summer camps. I think traditionally we have run them departmentally. It's a great opportunity. Parents in our communities are looking for opportunities for their students in the summer, but we hadn't intentionally connected this opportunity to participate in the summer camp to a pathway to enrollment. And so one of the things that we want to do more intentionally is to really connect our summer camp programs for parents, family, community members who are engaging in summer camps to opportunities. So we're recruiting for today and we're recruiting for tomorrow. And I have to look at these young people who are on our campus as not only campers, but also future Cougars. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor Minor. And I know Carbondale does the same thing. I think my grandchildren went to summer camps on campus. So I think my granddaughter's at one right now, I believe. So, okay, at regular board meetings, 30 minutes will be reserved to receive comments or questions from members of the public and employees of the university. Speakers' comments or questions should not exceed 5 minutes. Persons listening to speak shall contact the executive secretary of the board. The executive secretary of the board shall maintain a roster of those seeking to speak and shall call them in order. Madam Secretary, do we have any speakers?
Yes. Amy Bodenstab.
Good morning. Come on down. What TV show used to say, "Come on down"? Well, The Price is Right. That was it, wasn't it? Please state your name.
My name is Amy Bodenstab. I am the Vice President and Chief Steward for AFSCME Local 2887 at SIUE. We provide the frontline services to support and encourage students. We do budgeting, accounting, hiring, purchasing, etc. Okay. SIUE received over $50 million in COVID funding. $4.5 million of it was poured into our budget deficit, despite our repeated requests that our boots on the ground on campus during lockdown workers receive something for risking their lives. We got nothing. We get less than half the vacation time of others on campus. When we request more, we get nothing. We receive less than half the sick time of others on campus. When we request more, we get nothing. We get less than half the extended sick time of others on campus. When we request more, we get nothing. We have less than half the bereavement time of others on campus. When we request more, we get nothing. When we have good supervisors that find money in their budget and want to pay us more, the university claims that the union won't allow it. When the union proves that no such thing is in our contract and that we would approve anyway, the university stops responding and our member gets nothing. When we prove that we make half the industry standard for the work that we do, because of the decades-long refusal by the university to agree to cost of living and longevity that is more than a penny a year of service for us, just us. Even though others on campus are granted much more, better increases, still we get nothing. When we point out that we have never had a decision maker from the university at the negotiation table, and it has been 385 days without a contract, and the university still hasn't bothered to present a financial proposal, we still got nothing. When more work is dropped on our members and we ask them to be compensated, we get nothing. Anti-discrimination laws cover protected classes of people. Almost 100% of people in Local 2887 are part of one or more of those protected classes. As we are continually denied what is given to others, day after day, denied year after year, denied decade after decade, any rational person must question the conviction of our diversity, equity, and inclusion policies here at SIU. We are shamelessly mistreated in violation of those policies. So we have to wonder, what message are you trying to send to our students? Or is it only the students covered by protected classes that should feel the weight of these issues? There is always money for bonuses, stipends, etc., for people who already have a substantial salary. But those of us living paycheck to paycheck and working 2 to 3 jobs to put food on the table, we get nothing. I would like to say something positive about the Board of Trustees, about President Mahoney, about SIUE, but we got nothing.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Alan Hubschen.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Alan Hubschen. I'm a graduate research assistant here at SIU School of Medicine in the Pharmacology and Neuroscience PhD program. So I'd like to begin my comments with the story that brought me here. On Tuesday, I got my bill for this upcoming semester, and there were fees that were not covered by my tuition waiver. These fees totaled $1,560. So my take-home pay every month as a graduate researcher is $1,659. So I was not sure how I would be able to pay rent. So after some emailing, we figured out that those were Carbondale fees. However, that still makes me feel for the Carbondale graduate assistants. I don't know how they pay rent on these months that they have to pay these fees. So this leads me to the issue of low pay for graduate research assistants and other graduate assistants at SIU. So as I mentioned, we take home about $1,660 every month, which is supposedly compensation for 20 hours of work per week. Not only are we scraping by every month, just barely, but all of the graduate researchers that I know in my program spend upwards of 30 to 60 hours in the lab every week. So this is supposed to be tracked on timesheets. However, when I first started here, I was filling out my timesheets honestly. I was then called into someone's office and they told me that I needed to fill out only 4 hours per day, no matter how much I was working. I do not want to mention this person's name right now because I fear of retaliation as my classes are just starting and I have not taken the candidacy test yet. So if you look at my timesheet records, you should see this change after my first 2 months. So now that you know how much we make, I should mention that an increase of just $1,000 in take-home pay for a graduate student would have a far greater impact on quality of life and reduction of stress than raises or bonuses for say 20, 30, or even $150,000 for members of this board. So now that you know our situation, I should also mention that some more specifics from my personal situation. I am on state assistance for food, SNAP, also known as food stamps, in order to survive. I am also on state insurance because I cannot afford the insurance offered by SIU. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, our next item is the call for the omnibus motion. The trustees have had an opportunity, approximately 10 days, to study the items on the agenda. A certain number are routine or self-explanatory, so to save time, we act upon them in one motion and one vote. Madam Secretary, please read the items suggested for the motion.
The omnibus motion includes board agenda items H through X.
Is there any discussion on items H through X? Is there a motion to approve the items for the omnibus motion?
So moved.
So second.
It's been moved and seconded. Now ask for a roll call vote.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Sharma, trustee Sharma.
You said yes.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedrick.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I declare the motion, I'm declaring the motion to approve the omnibus motion is passed. Board items F and G, reports of purchase orders and contracts, March, April, and May of 2023 for SIUC and SIUE. We voted on separately. Do I have a motion to approve these items?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. We're now going to call for a roll call on items F and G.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger,
Yes.
Yes.
Sharma, Simmons,
Yes.
Tedrick.
I recuse.
Okay. I declare the motion is passed. The last item is board agenda item Y, the recognition of Mike Reese. Mr. Reese, why don't you come down here? I told you earlier that we saved the best for last. Whereas Mr. Mike Reese has had a long and dedicated career with Illinois University, Carbondale, and Saluki Athletics. Whereas Mr. Reese began his journey with SIU Carbondale as a student sportscaster at SIU Radio and WSIU TV in 1975. He went on to become a 1978 SIU Radio TV graduate. During the course of his career, Mr. Reese called many of the greatest moments in the history of Saluki athletics, including the 1983 1AA National Championship football season, men's basketball trips to the Sweet 16 in 2002 and 2007, and the 1997 College World Series. In total, he called 501 Saluki football games, 1,325 Saluki basketball games. Among his many awards and recognitions, he was recipient of the 2007 SIU Alumni Association Achievement Award for Service, the 2008 John Sanders Spirit of the Missouri Valley Conference Award, and the 2008 College of Communications and Fine Arts Alum of the Year Award. In 2011, Mike Reese was named Illinois Sportscaster of the Year, as voted on by the National Sportscasters and Sports Writers. And additionally, he was inducted in the Saluki Hall of Fame in 2005, the Illinois Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame in 2006, and the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame in 2019. Mr. Reese just completed 44 seasons of radio play-by-play for Illinois University Athletics and was fondly known as the voice of the Salukis. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees in regular meeting assembled that Mike Reese be formally recognized for his contributions, dedication, and service to Illinois University and Saluki Athletics. Is there any further discussion?
I'd like to make a few comments. Mike and I have been friends for 40 some years, I guess, have traveled a lot of miles together, had a few beers together, had a lot of fun, but all during that time, I appreciated his professionalism because I thought he was the best. And I wish you happiness in your retirement. Thank you.
Did you ever call a game where Dr. Hightower was a referee?
Yes.
Did you ever disagree with any of his calls?
And
Now, remember, he's got to vote on this too, so be careful.
And I'm so appreciative of you for kind of spearheading this and Roger and Ed for not getting in the way of it and stopping it. Ed may have or could have. Yes, he was there at the start of the career calling basketball games. And maybe I remember him at John A. Logan refereeing games.
Exactly.
When teams showed up without their shoes.
Good.
It played in their socks.
Exactly. Good memory.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
So second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? No, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote because I need to make sure that Dr. Hightower votes for this resolution. Mike?
I'm interested in the roll call vote too.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Harris. Hightower,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Salger. Yes. Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedrick.
With pleasure, yes.
Okay. I declare the motion is passed. We have a plaque of it, Mike, and I'm gonna come around but I also need to tell you, also have in my sack, since you're now retired, I have a jury summons for you.
Yes.
Ed, get in here. You get next to him. Get you into Lane in here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Maybe I know how to use the microphone. I don't know. Look, thank you very much for noticing, first of all, and second of all, for taking the time to make me part of this meeting. There's one thing I'd like to share with you that I hope explains what I think that we have accomplished in Saluki Radio. We have some 80 to 85 people who have worked for us in Saluki Radio covering sports, who are in the business, the communication business in some form or fashion. And so when I think of schools like, Syracuse, Arizona State, I think Marquette, certainly Ball State now. There aren't many more like Southern who can say that. And so in the beginning, when I worked for the radio station and they staffed a sports department with sportscasters, and we did games and we reported on sports all the way through now where SIU and Learfield are responsible for investing in the broadcast. They have always done it in a first-class manner. And the goal always was to make the broadcast better than the market size. So if you stereotype Carbondale, I'm going to listen to a Saluki game, it must sound like it's small town because it's Carbondale. But we didn't want that. And the people in charge made sure that didn't happen because, as you all know, if you don't invest, you don't reap. And people invested. And as a consequence, that number is in the 80 to 85 range. And when I look back, sure, there have been great games, there have been great people, but the people and the fact that we have people in the business, and of those 80 to 85, only 2 don't have undergrad degrees from SIU. I'm very, very proud of that. And I'd like to make you guys aware of that. So thank you very much for this. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for taking the time. I wish all of you the best. Go SIU and thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and for your years of service to Saluki Athletics and the SIU. You have always been a great ambassador for the college, for the university, and I know you will not be a stranger. So, but you will be missed because like I say, for most of the people in the last, 40 years, you have been the voice of the Salukis. And it's going to be different, but congratulations. And we wish you well in your retirement. But if I know you, you're not going to retire in retirement. You're going to be doing something. So, okay, that concludes the business of the Board of Trustees today. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the board will be held September 21st at the East St. Louis Center. The news conference will be held immediately at the conclusion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn the full board meeting?
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will Madam Secretary please call the roll?
Curtis.
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hightower.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Salger.
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Tedrick.
Yes.
Okay. The motion is carried. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for appearing